establishment has been equally worrisome. I find that this is not just for me to think, this is for us to think, that are we going to allow security forces and intelligence agencies to tell us how the future world is going to be shaped? Or are we going to be able to produce leadership with political acumen who are going to give us a more far-sighted, a more holistic policy where we as people of this world can live together in better harmony and peace? I don't see that leadership. I don't see it anywhere. I mean, look at the two largest democracies, yourselves and India. I don't need to go beyond that. I think we all understand the kind of leadership that is on the horizon here and that is on the horizon in India. And you are two largest democracies. So forget about poor Pakistan. I mean, I sometimes, when I look around, I say, well, at least we have somebody there who's willing to run a race for democracy. Fine. Somebody who's at least can be made more accountable and is relatively reasonable that you can get along with. But I think that it's not simply just our relationship with the US in that regard that worries me. The US has looked at Pakistan from the prison of Pakistan's establishment, not from the fact that what the rights perspective that you are supposed to be looking at, I think, and that is what you are associated with. To give you an example, that September 11th took place, and we all knew that the world is going to change. It would have changed, but it could have also changed in a slightly better way. And for the first time in Pakistan, people started disappearing. First, it was the so-called terrorists and the extremists that were handed to the CIA. But when our ISI thought that they could do that for the largest democracy, people who are pioneers in freedom, they can help themselves too. And then they started picking up people from Balochistan. So disappearances started there. And now disappearances have become a way with the intelligence agencies of Pakistan. There was not a word that was said about this extremely grave human rights violation that took place in Pakistan. During Ziaul Haq's period, I have to share with you that there was something called the American Center there at that time, and they used to give lectures. So they had a professor come in from California, and we were all invited, and she gave a lecture of how society in Saudi Arabia was absolutely enabling for women, and that women had a lot more rights in Saudi Arabia than they did in Pakistan. And after our lecture, we all got together and said, how dare she come and tell us that? But 2 months later, there was another lecture from another professor who was flown from the US on the same pattern, that Saudi Arabian life suited women's rights. It was separate but equal. And you know what, Ranjita? We had a protest outside the USIS. And we said, if one more person comes and tells us, you better take that culture back to California. We don't want it here in Pakistan. So there is that kind of resistance as well that you never hear of in Pakistan. I brought with me a photograph that I think is worth $1 million. It's women who are wearing shuttlecock burqa. You know, shuttlecock is like, it's covered from head to toe. And they are having a protest march in Bannu, which is Fatah. Protest march in Bannu, asking that they be given their right to vote. And when I see that photograph, I think, yes, we are alive, we are there, we have energy, and we are kicking. But what does worry me about our relationship is it's fine, it suits you to give money to our security forces. I have no problem about it. But I think that at the same time, they have to be also made accountable for human rights violations. Torture is endemic there, and no one talks about it. There are laws there now